Speaking of elites falling, I want to show you this. This happened. The senators...
as I indicated in my opening statement, I wanted to talk about the death of Mr. Epstein. Do you concur with the opinion that it was a suicide?
That was the finding of the coroner, sir.
Okay. Do you have any evidence suggesting?
So just so you know, this is a Senate hearing about Epstein's suicide. And this woman, there's Senator Lindsey Graham. This is a rare moment. You might actually like what Lindsey Graham is doing.
What he's saying, the words coming out of his mouth. You won't like him. You'll like these questions for like a brief moment.
No.
It's like maybe you have a sports team in common and he's knowledgeable about it and you're like, oh, that's,
okay. I could just talk. Cool. Just talk about this team.
Mm-hmm.
That's it.
This team. That's it.
That's all.
And then we go our separate ways to the dessert table at this Zuckerberg Buttigieg lame party.
Oh God, he's at that party too. God.
He's there. It's Lindsey Graham, Buttigieg, and Zuckerberg.
How do I get out of this party?
And then I don't know, some like unnamed intern or something.
So this is the Senate hearing, and they're talking to this woman, Dr. Kathleen Hawk Sawyer, who is the Bureau of Prisons. She's the head of the Bureau of Prisons. They're asking her, they're grilling her. How did the Epstein thing happen? How did this happen? It is fantastic, and you need to watch this.
I do not.
How could this have happened?
Unfortunately, sir, the death and the whole situation is still under the investigation of the FBI and the Inspector General's office, and I'm really not at liberty to discuss specifics of this case. I can discuss issues around institutional operations, but I can't specifically talk about that particular issue.
Okay. With a case this high profile, there's got to be either major malfunction of the system or a criminal enterprise at foot to allow this to happen. So are you looking at both? Is the FBI looking at both?
If the FBI is involved, then they are looking at criminal enterprise, yes.
Do we have people in custody today of this high profile nature? Have we done anything to adjust since Mr. Epstein's death?
Sir, we take every inmate's life very seriously in the Bureau of Prisons. A high-profile inmate is no more important or significant in terms of our operations than just the average inmate that comes our way.
When I mean high-profile, somebody's on a suicide watch.
I would like to explain our suicide watch system, if I may. I can't talk specifically about Epstein, but we have different tiers of response if we identify an inmate who appears to be having suicidal thinking. And I came into the Bureau as a psychologist. I worked with lots of suicidal inmates. I was warden in our psychiatric facility in Butner, and I know how difficult it is to always be able to predict who is suicidal and who is not. But once an inmate is identified as potentially suicidal, we have a suicide watch operation that we can place them in. It's a very stark, very difficult setting where everything is stripped from the room except a mattress. They get a coarse gown-like to wear that cannot be twisted in any way that they could hang themselves from it. They have one mattress and one blanket, and they are watched constantly. There's nothing else in that room.
Was Mr. Epstein on suicide watch?
Yes, he was. However, the average time on suicide watch is only about 24 hours because it is such a stark and actually depressing situation. We then can move them to another tier of observation, which is called psychological observation.
Did that happen in this case?
I can't speak specifically, but I am sharing this with you so that you understand our procedure, sir. They then can move to another tier, which is psychological observation, where they get their clothes back. They're in a more normalized setting. They are watched and scrutinized every moment of the day, but that is a much more normal environment.
Do they have roommates?
I'm sorry, sir?
Do they have roommates?
No, they do not when they're on psychological observation because they're being watched continuously.
Did Mr. Epstein have a roommate when he allegedly committed suicide?
No, he did not.
Okay.
What? So she's basically, he's just asking, Lindsey Graham's going.
He's just like, how in the hell did this happen? Given, here's our procedures normally. Blah, 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 blah. Yeah, I get that. So how did this, well, I can't get into that. Okay. But so how in the world did this happen? Well, I can't get into that. Here's what we do so that hanging himself would have been pretty much impossible.
Impossible.
Okay, so how did it happen? Well, I can't get into that. I can describe how impossible it is,
but I can't tell
you why it happened. But I think the FBI is looking into it. Maybe.
Okay. There's more. It gets better.
When Lindsey Graham can sniff out your bullshit, A guy who takes Trump seriously.
Yes.
Can sniff out this bullshit.
When Lindsey Graham goes, come on.
Even Lindsey was like, oh, geez.
Boy.
Wow, this is...
But
They move into psychological observation. Psychologists see them routinely, interview them repeatedly, and once it's determined that the threat of suicide seems to have passed, then that inmate can be returned back to open population.
well, clearly it didn't work here, so we'll wait the report.
I'm sorry.
I just wanted to describe...
Well, hashtag epic fail. But we're going to include this. Okay. Oh, thank you, Lindsey Graham. Now, this new younger senator I'm not familiar with comes in, and holy shit, he starts going toe-to-toe with this lady. It's fantastic. There's Lindsey Graham picking his nose.
Yep.
Because all the victims of Mr. Epstein have to have their heart ripped out, else they'll never see justice.
Dr. Sawyer, can you think of any other incidents in the history of the BOP that have caused as much crisis for public trust for your institution as Epstein's death?
I can only speak for since 1976 when I joined the Bureau. I don't know prior to that, but I would say it's probably gotten the most public attention.
There are lots of taxpayers and citizens who've never thought about the BOP, and you have lots of good, patriotic, hardworking folks there. I get that. But in terms of a crisis of public trust in general, but also in terms of your workforce, this death happened in the middle of August, early August. It's Thanksgiving, and you're here to testify today, and you say you're not allowed to speak about this incident. I think that's crazy. Can you distinguish among types of investigations, at least for us? Because I'm aware of at least 3 Epstein investigations. You got a whole bunch of women who were raped by this guy. This is a sex trafficking ring in the United States. This guy had evidence. He's got co-conspirators, and there are victims out there who want to know where the evidence has gone. Can you tell us a little bit more about the different investigations? I understand there's at least one that you're directed by Main Justice not to speak about, but there are at least 3 investigations. Can you unpack them, please?
There are 2 investigations that are ongoing. One is the FBI's investigation, and the other is the Inspector General's investigation.
Both inside BOP, but there's a third one outside, which is why Epstein was in your institution to begin with.
Yeah, and that, sir, is completely out of my...
I get that. There's a lot here where DOJ has failed. There's a lot here that BOP has failed. Let's just be clear so we have a level set for everybody in this room. You're in your job because of this crisis, right? You come here today and you say you can't testify about it, but the reason you're director now is because the last guy got fired, right?
Senator, I can't tell you what I don't know. I have received no information from the FBI investigation yet, nor no information from the Inspector General. Once those entities go into one of our facilities, we are forbidden from talking to anybody in the institution. We can send in a team and look at wherever there might have been a security flaw or something, but we are not allowed to talk to anybody in our institutions about anything that happened over the Epstein.
With all due respect, you still have an obligation to speak to the girls who were raped by this guy today. You may not have to speak about every particular of the guards that were arrested last night, but the fact that there is an ongoing attempt by the United States government to find out if there's still any evidence about the co-conspirators, you do have an obligation to speak to those girls who were raped today. You may not speak about the specifics of the charges against those 2 guards this morning who were taken into custody, but more broadly, you should be able to unpack, have we changed any processes about how cases like this are handled? It's been more than 90 days, and you said, I think your quote was, we treat every inmate the same. We believe in America that every individual has equal dignity, but not every inmate has equal value for future criminal investigations. Jeffrey Epstein was still to testify in a case. Somebody who's already been convicted who may be on suicide watch, there are lots of good reasons to not want that guy to be able to kill himself. This is different because it isn't just about the individual inmate who might kill themselves. It's about the fact that that bastard wasn't able to testify against his other co-conspirators. So it is wrong as a management matter for you to say we treat everybody the same. We should be treating people who are yet to testify against other felons, against other rapists. They have a lot more priority for your institution, don't they?
Senator, pretty much all of our inmates that are in any of our jail facilities are pretrial. They're still yet to testify, to be involved, to share information on other cases. I don't know what evidence you're asking of me. If you're saying, was there any evidence in his room, in his possession at the time?
No,
that was all confiscated by the FBI.
In his brain, and in the cameras, and in the tapes that the American public well understands appear to not be urgent enough for the Department of Justice.
No, it's very urgent for the Department of Justice, and it's all been confiscated by the FBI, and it's all part of their investigation. That's why none of that is shared with the Director of the Bureau of Prisons or anyone in the Bureau until the investigations are completed. Once those are completed, I'd be very happy to come up here and talk with any one of you that want to hear everything about we glean from those investigations. But until I have that information, there's nothing I can tell you. If I don't have the information, I cannot share anything with you.
Then how widespread is the problem of sleeping on the job? There are lots of people in the public who think this seems a very convenient excuse. And so tell us, is it a systemic problem? Do we have a lot of people who sleep on the job when they're supposed to be guarding federal inmates?
We have a few, sir, and we have been monitoring the cameras that are existing in every one of our institutions to determine how well and how effectively our inmates are, our staff members are doing their rounds and counts in the institutions. We have found a couple of other instances, and we have immediately referred those to the Inspector General's office, and I'm encouraging that if people just chose not to do their job, we're hoping the U.S. Attorney's Office will pick up those cases and prosecute them for us, because we don't want those people in the Bureau of Prisons. They are dangerous to everybody, the inmates and the staff. And so we are zealously going about trying to determine which of our employees are good employees and who do their job, and that is the vast majority of the prison staff. But we do have some, I know, out there who obviously choose not to follow policy, choose not to do their job, and we want them gone. I do not want them in our institutions, and I am exploring those very, very carefully to identify them and get them out of our system. Now, if it's a training problem and they didn't know what they were supposed to do, that's our problem. That's management.
They didn't know they weren't supposed to sleep on the job.
Wow.
They didn't know that.
That's something.
They might not have known.
I don't know. Maybe you need to chill guards.
I'm not supposed to sleep here. I'm not supposed to.
Nobody told me.
I stay awake.
Nobody told me I wasn't supposed to go to sleep when I was guarding prisoners.
Sleeping's against,
Oh, man.
Video games, does that copacetic? I mean, that's got to be.
I thought it was
right?
okay to unplug video cameras and then go to sleep.
I was going to jerk off. Is that bad? Like,
nobody trained me. I didn't know what to do.
This is a job. Okay. All right. And then I get a paycheck at the end of this. This is all right. I'm seeing how this works now.
So
does she really think? They didn't know.
I didn't think boo. I didn't know. That's our job.
What about the faulty cameras? Is she going to talk about that?
Yeah, that's what I want to hear about.
There happened to be a tired guard. There also happened to be a faulty camera.
Tired guards and faulty cameras.
Highest profile prisoner in the world. Just happened to be sleepy time.
The first thing that happens, and I'm not an investigator. This is just from watching cop shows most of my life. Oh, the guard that was supposed to watch him, let's check his bank accounts. Did he get $50,000 suddenly deposited into his bank account to fall asleep?
Mm-hmm.
Why did the cameras? Who was the last person to maintain the cameras?
Yeah. Yeah, like aren't these things swept and records are kept? So who was there last? Who did they talk to?
Fucking hall monitor ask these questions of basic investigation? Fucking Lindsey Graham goes, this was obviously a criminal enterprise or a complete breakdown. So what happened?
Yeah. Either this is a breakdown beyond magnitude. I mean, that other person asked that question where they were just like, they very diplomatically just said, did you guys ever fuck up this badly ever in the past?
Yeah.
To which the woman said, I don't think so.
It's unbelievable. All right, there's more.
We have to do a better job training our staff. But if someone is well-trained, well-experienced, and chooses not to do their job, we want them gone. I assure you of that.
I'm at time, so I'll just give you a preview of something I'm going to ask you for the record after the event. You made a really important statement about drone drops of different kinds of contraband into your institutions. That's obviously a new and hard problem. That's a problem against which we have to play defense, but there's also new opportunities for offense. And so what your long-term strategy is inside the institution about cameras is something that I think a lot of us would like to hear more, and I'll send you a letter with some questions. Because Epstein's hallway should have still been monitored by cameras, even if his guards were asleep, and we don't have information about whether or not there were adequate cameras there. And so I think a lot of us would like to understand where technology dollars are going.
Absolutely.
Thank you, Dr.
Thank you, Senator.
Senator Blumenthal's next, but just follow up on this. Will there be an IG report regarding what happened?
There should be. Usually after the Inspector General's office investigates, they do come out with a report.
If people are pending criminal charges, we're not going to interfere in their cases. But if there's an IG report, I promise you we'll get fully briefed by the committee here.
How can I put this? Christmas ornaments, drywall, and Jerry Epstein. Name 3 things that don't hang themselves. That's what the American people think. That's what the American people think. And they deserve some answers. And I know that you're not in charge of these investigations.
Yes, sir.
But you talk to the people who are. And I need you to take a very respectful message today. Tell the American people what happened. And don't rush it so that they don't do a thorough investigation. But you and I both know they can make this a top priority and get it done more quickly than they normally would.
Damn.
I mean, that's like, this is I watch this and I go.
Jeffrey Epstein started his targeted grooming and manipulation.
We'll end that right there. So, I mean, this is significant for a lot of reasons. First of all, because I've been asking, I've done a lot of Epstein videos. I just dropped a video breaking down the ridiculous lies of Prince Andrew in that 49-minute interview on the BBC where he just flat out lies. He's just crazy. I'm glad that people are not letting this go because this is fucking bullshit. This is complete. And just listening to this woman. So the guy goes, you have your job because the last guy was fired.
Right. Yeah.
How come she can't sit there and go, I understand she's not privy to an FBI investigation. I get that.
Right.
But you should be able to say, I can tell you this.
I can tell you this is what they're doing.
This is what they're doing.
I mean, like that whole clip, and I appreciated the grilling, but I mean, it could have just been summed up as, are we going to get to know anything? What are they even trying to find out? And her answer would have been maybe, and I don't know.
Well, the question is, and this is what I wish would have even been, I appreciate that guy asking those pointed questions, but the pointed question that I really wanted to ask is, so you're the Bureau of Prisons. Can you tell me the name of the guy that was supposed to guard him when Epstein died, why he wasn't there, has he taken any money, does he have any ties to any criminals? Mm-hmm. Does he have any ties to anybody?
Who was in charge of the maintenance of the cameras around?
Who was in charge?
Who were they talking to?
Who were they talking to?
Who handled it last?
Who handled it last?
Who verified that it was working and functional last?
Because
I mean, I'd imagine there's a thing like where it's like you got to check out. You know, you go into a public place and you'll see a thing on the restrooms where there's a sign that this was cleaned last by so and so, and then there's a check mark. Isn't there some kind of thing for the cameras and this was checked last time by so and so? The cameras are working, functional, everything checks out, batteries appropriate, whatever.
I would like to go, hey, have you been threatened by anyone in the intelligence community or anybody of power has threatened you? Because that black book contains all of these powerful names. Like, that's why I want to ask her. You should be able to tell me the guy that was supposed to guard him that didn't, why he didn't, what his background is, what his ties to anybody are, what is being done. Is that guy fired? Is he on administrative leave? What's going on? And why the cameras weren't working.
Well, and when she tried to use that all lives matter inmate defense,
shut the fuck up.
The guy just shot that down immediately. He was like, wait a second. This guy was involved in all these horrific, beyond horrific things. We needed to know what he knew.
Yeah.
And you're saying like that's not treated with any type of specialty when it's this level of a criminal that has yet to testify.
God, I know. She goes, everyone there is pretrial. Okay, so the guy in the cell next to him is pretrial for a drug offense?
Yeah.
Okay, we want him protected, but what?
Yeah, we want him protected, but, you know, if he's going to rat out a couple of his other buddies selling weed, that's a little different. Just a little different than Jeff Epstein.
Do the meth heads that he might rat out want to maybe try to get him killed? Sure. Do they have the resources? No. Epstein's black book does. You know, that has the current president, a former president, former Governor Bill Richardson. It has a member of the royal family, a member of the Saudi royal family, a woman whose father used to be a Mossad agent. Do any of those people, maybe they have the resources to get involved and get this done? Man, it's obvious why they don't want people like us in Senate, because I would be asking these very pointed questions. And it would be like, can you answer any of this? Can you answer anything for me?
Mm-hmm. I mean, that's basically what that one guy did.
Yeah.
I mean, that's basically what he did. And he pretty much said, like, You know, and then when she tried to play dumb about like, well, what do you mean evidence? And he was like, what's in his brain?
Right.
What's in his? We wanted to know what he knew.
Yes.
And look at all these victims. You owe it to them.
Yes.
So
this is
I will say I'm not even familiar with who that guy is, but
I don't know.
I give him credit for that.
I give him credit for that. I want to say this to all of the viewers out there. Keep pressuring your local law, because that one guy at the end, Mr. Kennedy, was like, there's 3 things don't hang themselves. Christmas ornaments, drywall, and Epstein. The American people want to know. You want to know why?
He didn't do the best job delivering that joke.
No,
it was
he
a little like he had to kind of like, wait, what is it? It was yeah.
Sure.
His delivery was a little off.
He's not a professional comedian.
Side note.
But the reason he's saying that, this is significant, is because this has been trending on social media now for the last several weeks. Hashtag Epstein didn't kill himself. That's why he's aware of that. So to all of you out there, pressure your representatives to keep this investigation going. Go to the FBI. I want to know what the FBI, I want to know what, they seized a bunch of evidence from his fucking horrifying pedophile island, from his place in Manhattan, and I believe his place even in New Mexico. But I definitely know Manhattan was raided and the pedophile island was raided that Prince Andrew's gone to and that Bill Clinton has gone to. So pressure your representatives to say, give us this investigation, open this up, because they are trying to hide us. They are hoping this goes away, and it's not. It's not going away because we are putting pressure on them, which is why I am not going to I'm not going to stop doing videos on this shit. And
and if you're sending out holiday cards this year, instead of signing your name, hashtag Epstein didn't kill himself.
Yeah.
Great conversation starter at the Thanksgiving table.
Yeah. Send some holiday cards to your local, state, and federal representatives with Epstein didn't kill himself. Thank you for your service. Happy holidays. Epstein didn't kill himself. Open up the investigation. Give us answers right now.
Go Jets.
Go Jets. Yes, go Jets indeed. All right, let's see where we're at here. There. Come on, guys. There are plenty of big crime guys in that prison, multiple murders, serial killers, other serial rapists. Sure. But they don't have the black book with the most powerful people in the world. So Epstein, sure, all prisoners should be protected, but that guy's even more important because...
Right. It was a bullshit excuse on her part.
Excuse.
That was our point. Like it was a bullshit excuse on her part.
Yeah. All right. So...